Welcome, everybody. Once again, this is a sad day in Spinnerack history and in comic book history. The death of Adam West, one of the great bats of the world, Batman from the original Batman show. Here to talk about this sad event is, as usual, the crew, Petey, and the super fiend himself, Cal. Petey,
you sound a little too chipper here, man. You know, come on. We just lost a great guy, Adam West.
Chipper, I think you're taking this out of context. Let's have Petey describe a little bit of this. Can you talk to us about the life of Adam West a bit?
Well, you know, I met Adam West as a small child when we were watching, I think it was reruns. We watched reruns in the 70s of the Batman TV show, and it had a strong effect on my brother and me. I think at one point my father tried to get us into ballet, and my brother turned to him and said, Batman wouldn't do that. and basically killed, both of us just were totally against it, but we had my uncle, he would play the Batman theme song on the piano. He did it so many times, he recorded on a little tape player on the piano because we just kept asking him to redo it. So then at some point, I think when our teens, it was still in reruns, and then we watched it had a different effect because we started getting all the jokes. So it's every time you go back to it, there's always something that reveals itself, like peeling an onion. There's always so many layers to it. So, and there's performance, because there's I think as a kid I was really, listening to the episode with Shame, it really affected me because I was really scared because it's a gunfight. So it's this guy could kill Batman. And then watching it later, I was 13 or 14, it's he said, Shame says to Batman, your mother wears combat boots. And he's like, she had to, So it's a lot of levels. And, I guess there's also something, of typecast where Adam West didn't seem to get roles. We got to remember that he wasn't the exact look for Bruce Wayne. He wasn't 6'3". There was also, Lyle Wagner who was in. He's like the size, but as far as the voice and the performance is what Adam West gave us, and it gave us, it only lasted 3 years, but the straight humor, it is campy, but his performance is so straight with humor in it that really sells the show. So, there's some rough parts, I think, in the movie where he's running around and the cave is sort of dangling, but otherwise, the performance between Batman and Robin, when you watch the TV show as a kid, you start to say, you know what, I can't really be Batman or Robin because these guys are too smart. They go up to the computer, the computer would find something out, and then they would solve the puzzle after that. And it's just that's too hard. Where did they come up with this stuff? I gotta become a mutant now. I either get bit by a spider or I'm born with powers, because I can't do the work that whatever these two guys did. But, then slowly, as far as the humorous tone, Adam West has continued to come back and continue to show up. He also did the Superpowers, which was.
He did Super Friends. He also did Superpowers.
Yes, yeah.
Family Guy.
I think he was also doing the voice work. I don't know if he did the voice work on Batman and the Super 7, because that was a totally different series. But he did a lot of voice work.
Yeah, it's funny because the Superpowers, he was going for a more darker voice. I don't know that one. I was I hear him regularly, and then when you hear him in the current ones, the Cape Crusader shows, the movies, those ones are almost exactly the TV show, so it's really interesting to see it
is the TV show. That's what they were going. That's what they were going for.
But it seemed like he did try to do a little different, a little darker tone in Super Friends, and it's interesting to hear. And then, he was we had Comic-Con. We got to see him. Luckily, I was able to almost be a reporter and press, and then we were able to be at the table with him. And he was entertaining, spry, and he was, very gracious to all of us fans. So, it's a sad day, 88 years of life, but, it's something you always find time to go back to. And there's so many stars that wanted to be in the show, that fought to be in that TV show. And the ones they couldn't get in, that's why you see them on when they're walking up the wall. That's how you get Sammy Davis Jr., because they couldn't come with a villain. So they're just put the stars in the wall so they can say hello to Batman. So,
what do you think about this, Kyle? His work and the show.
88 years for me, at this point, 2017 with life expectancy people have, it's kind of young. We have Stan Lee, and Stan Lee is in his 90s. So, but he was 88, and definitely long life there, but it was instrumental. I mean, for a lot of people, this was the gateway into a whole new world, comic books, superheroes. And I think at one point they had asked Adam West, how does he feel about, Christian Bale's Batman or this Batman or that Batman? And he said never regarded it, because he says, while these guys are popular for their moment, he's like, I'm the person 500 million people see every single day. He is synonymous with Batman across the world. I remember I was out of the country, and I was someplace, and I was pretty much stuck there for a few days, couldn't go anywhere, and I'm flipping through. There was only one program in English on that I could understand. What was it? It was Batman. That was it. But it was very surprising that where I was like, no, this was on. So this was the introduction. This is the introduction that a lot of people are actually getting to him. Like you said, we at Comic-Con had the opportunity to do some interview work there, and he was a gentleman. He was charming, witty. Despite how old he was, he just came across as mentally spry. It was just a really great feeling to actually meet him after the attachment I had to the show. The attachment I had to the show as a kid was pretty similar to you. I used to watch, and to this day I hate to be continued shows because of watching that show as a kid. I hated having to come back the next day to find out if Batman was going to survive. The scariest episode for me, I forgot. He was, I think the villain was, I forget the name of the villain, but she was a redhead. And it ended on this cliffhanger that she was trying to trick him into getting married. And he was like, well, how's he going to get out of this one? And I was like, no, you can't do this. And I said, no, he's going to marry her. She's going to ruin his life. I remember going to the kitchen and getting a knife and said, we got to cut open the TV, jump in there, and we got to save Batman. We got to do this now. And I forgot who with me. Some girl was with me, and she just told, I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should do it. So the TV was saved, and so was I. But he has a long body of work, not just the Batman show.
Yes.
I mean, definitely with the voiceover work. Plenty of guest appearances as comic books became more normalized. So, okay, comics are cool for right now. Okay, for right now. Don't worry. You're going to be nerds again. Okay, so enjoy it while it lasts. But the biggest thing is I was very happy about is that there's this period where he gets pigeonholed as, Batman. So you can't do this and you can't do that. We can't show Batman having sex or Batman being a leading man or this. But he did the thing that I think Noel Neal did as well, and he embraced the character. He never ran away from being Batman. If Batman was the only thing he could get, he did that. And you live to find out, yes, a lot of people appreciated the show. A lot of people appreciated all of the effort and all of the work that you put into, and every handshake that you gave out and every autograph that you gave out, was definitely appreciated. So I think it's a big difference from people like Tom Welling, who run away from Superman. No, I won't put on the suit. As opposed to this is what I did. I'm proud of it. People love it, the fact that I've done it. I've never had a person come up to me like, hey, I hated it. No. I'm synonymous with this. If I embrace it, I'm going to have, the best of all possible worlds open to me. And, that's what he had at the end of the day. Again, with meeting him, the biggest thing that I took away when I had that chance to do that interview, I don't know if we have it up on the site so people could check it out. But one of the things that he said that really stayed with me is that a lot of the stuff that we're promoting and putting in terms of superheroes, in terms of story work, is very dark and very, dank, depressing to a certain extent. Like, the only way you can become a superhero or any type of hero is that you have to go on this traumatic path and then somehow, come out, and that's when you're going to learn to do the right thing, which is totally antithetical to actually being a superhero. And he says, you could, a little humor, a little wit, definitely some charm. The world's a much brighter place than a lot of people want to make it. And then I remember the Batman show. At no point was it ever referenced anything about him losing his parents. He was never weighed down. I mean, of course, humor was a big part of it. But the character was never weighed down, by anything to the point where, he had to look like some angsty teenager or something. It's a fun ride for kids. It's definitely something fun for adults who can actually get into it. Who aren't that uptight, and that's the legacy he leaves. A lot of fun for people. From now and until we take to the stars and leave this planet and don't come back. Adam West's contribution, in terms of Batman, is something that people are just going to be able to enjoy, and that is a very big thing to be able to say at the end of the day.
Well, I just want to add on to that point about how dark comics were in comparison to the show. if you watch the cliffhangers and the drama of the music, the lighting, like there's one where I think Batman has to pick a door.
I remember
and one
the music.
of them has
The music.
a lot. And it's like that's the type of dark where it really messes. I mean, it's tough for kids. You're worried about Batman, and because you just because you care about him. But it also played to the aspect of Batman's, being the lead escape artist.
Right.
Like that's the
They
thing.
don't do that anymore.
So he has two aspects that are really strong, played out in the show every episode.
And
I mean, like,
I don't
they
think they
also
got a
do
lot of
detective also on
Yep.
the show. You also have them doing detective.
Yeah, it was a bad computer, and then they would
Bad everything.
sort everything out.
Yeah.
But also the choreography they did for the fight scenes,
Yes.
I don't think they got enough credit for it. Those are It was just a lot of fun, from start to finish. My favorite is when Bruce Lee was on. He was playing Kato.
Yes, yeah.
It was Bruce Lee and the Green Hornet, and good and well that you know who choreographed that.
Who?
Bruce Lee,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, choreographed that right there. It was, I mean, it's one of my favorites. But it was just these guys were just having having a lot of fun. I think there was one where he like pulls back and he knocks two guys out at once. You don't get to see it because he did like the whole bam. It was just a lot of fun from start to
Yeah.
finish.
I mean, it was a show that was started in '66. It ran in '68.
66.
66 to '68. It was a show that was basically geared towards kids, and it was set up along the lines of what I think The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I mean, if anybody's ever seen it, it's like a spy.
It was all
show.
ages group.
No, they specifically geared it.
All
ABC.
ages.
No, they geared it specifically
it was-
for
it
ABC.
was
Because
a-
that's why they had the jokes in there. That's why they had the jokes in there for adults.
No,
Yeah.
but adults, it's just you have that, when you write these things for kids, you still also have jokes for adults.
Well,
but the gear,
Not at prime
if you
time.
look at
It's
ABC,
the same like the
ABC said it
Flintstones
geared
was
for
on
kids.
prime time.
Right, and they also
So
had it. So I'm
It's a
just
cartoon, but
dude, I'm just
but
saying
it was
this
all
is what
ages.
ABC said. ABC was looking for a kid for show for kids. Of course, you're going to, as an adult, you're going to put something a little bit more into it, and they do this with a lot of kids shows. You can go back and say, oh wow, this is a little bit more adult than I initially thought.
Well,
so and I
mean,
think that
you look at
that's
stuff
why.
like Rainbow Bright. Rainbow Bright was never, it's
you
never
watch
gonna be
Rainbow
fun.
Bright, but the rest of us
I'm
would
giving
watch
you an
it.
example.
But I'm saying the rest of us would watch something else that you would think like what the A-Team.
Well, I mean,
it's campy and funny.
they're pushing it to the limit because like the scenes where there's one where what's the name? Batman is trying to catch Catwoman.
Yeah, she's bent over in the
Which
tight
Catwoman?
suit.
Catwoman? Which Catwoman?
You know
'Cause
the
you have
Catwoman.
three-
Julie
we
Newmar.
had three
Julie
Catwoman.
Newmar, right?
Exactly.
They fall off a building. They're all wrapped up together. They're tied tight, and they're having this romantic moment where they're talking, and he's like,
That was for kids.
and he's like, "What am I gonna do?" Say, "Are you gonna turn good? Turn good?" Say, "Well, what about Robin?" We'll just kill him. See that diseased, warped mind.
Yes.
And he said, did the same to Nancy Korvac, who's I was a big fan of. Where he said, pure, diseased mind, like because they're criminals. They are still criminals. They're not falling for their seductive ways.
Right,
She's
but
bent
we
around
can
the
still
tight
do
suit.
that.
Of course, you just happen to have to bend over for the camera. That was just that particular
No,
shot.
you just
had nothing to do with
you-
kids.
No, I'm just saying you may think that, but I'm just telling you what ABC, and it wasn't delivering
What
the
they
ratings,
wanted and what they
that's why.
delivered are two different things. Yeah?
So, I mean, the first season was pretty good, but afterwards it started going. The ratings started dropping, and
Well,
eventually,
what are you talking about?
they
The only
started
reason why the
good.
show got canceled is the reason why the show wasn't even canceled. ABC said they didn't want to pick it up, okay, because it was expensive. CBS said yes, we'll pick it up, and no one knows how or why the sets were destroyed.
right, that is true.
The sets were destroyed,
Which were
and because
very
the sets
expensive,
were
thousands and
and
thousands.
because the
of
sets
dollars.
were destroyed, they said, "Well, look, we don't have the money." ABC was like, "We're not going to give you the money to do this." CBS didn't have the money, so that was pretty much the end of it. Sets were still there, and again, I would love to know who put in the. It really sounds like ABC was like, "Nah, we're going to nix this right
Are
over
you
here."
seriously going to start blaming ABC 40 years, 50 years?
Who just
after the fact?
destroys the sets?
Well,
was an
no, they
accident.
usually
Most of the
do
time
that.
they use sets
do-
over.
Once the
no,
show
they,
is over,
they
they
do.
just-
They do destroy the sets, but if
mean-
you sell the show, there's no reason to destroy the sets.
Yeah. CBS.
We're
this
not
is-
getting into that mystery now.
And
ladies
it's
gentlemen.
same,
We're not blaming.
and the
We're not
same
blaming
Batman.
ABC.
Batman was about to get canceled.
Yeah,
and-
it was no
and-
different than with the Wonder Woman show. Where Wonder Woman started, did she start off? She started off on ABC. Yeah, I
Oh
think it was the same
yeah,
thing.
and
She
then
started
the New
off on
Adventures.
ABC.
The New Adventures. Yeah.
She did one season. They like, this isn't working out for us, and she went to CBS and she ran for 3 more seasons there.
Yeah.
So, okay, no different. It was no different. But they also made a change with Wonder Woman because the first season was
Yes.
World War II period. So period pieces are expensive because you have the costuming, you have to get the right cars.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is too expensive. They moved to CBS. They said, okay, we're just going to bring her to the future. And she ran for 3 more seasons. The other thing with the Batman show, we say 3 seasons or 3 years, not
Batman had
But-
a
but-
lot of episodes.
because
Over
that's what the
100,
standard
yeah.
was. A season was, I think, because you look at some of the I Love Lucy, and it'll be one season, and the season was well over 30 episodes. Okay, it was a lot of episodes. It's one of the reasons why Star Trek was popular enough to, it was only 3 seasons, but it was over 100 and some odd episodes for 3 seasons, not the 20, not like the 20 episodes that you would go right over here now. So he had a lot, there was a lot, there was a lot more, the whole idea of, well, the show wasn't doing well and it got canceled, that's just not true. The show was going to be picked up someplace else. They destroyed the sets. They don't have the money for the sets. That's where it goes over there. There was still enough popularity in there.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying normal, and we'll discuss later today, when a show, after a while, when people are not watching as much, it does get canceled. We had that happen with Star Trek, and they did come back to become cultural.
I find your lack of faith disturbing, man. I really do. How dare you sit there with that shirt on and that hat?
Yeah.
But
this is a day. This is a day to glorify and extol the show.
Yeah.
Not come with your negativity. Okay. Nobody asked for it.
I think you are.
I apologize.
You're totally misreading. I mean, Adam West contributed a great amount to comic book culture, and I'm not going to knock it, especially with his show Batman, which was basically.
Did you read the Batman '66 series? The comic?
Can we continue here, or are you going to
Did
I interrupt you while we were talking? Did you interrupt? Exactly.
Okay,
You're being very rude now.
I'm sorry.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I think maybe this was a good place to end then.
Yeah.
Unless you, I mean.
I do want to say, if you didn't get a chance to read it, Batman '66, the comic book, was really good. One of the things they did was they took all the villains that came after the series came out and villains that didn't get to appear, like Two-Face, Bane, and they added them to the series, but in the same vein as how villains were played on the series. So it was a real fun read for those of you guys who enjoyed the show. Maybe want a little bit of lighter reading when it comes to comics. Hey, maybe we'll review one in the future. Maybe not. But that's something you could definitely get into if you didn't know that it was out.
Another thing, too, I want to point out that Adam West, came back because of the whole Comic-Con stuff. He would go to all these Comic-Con, like these guys were saying. And in fact, he came back on Family Guy. He was doing voiceover work. And so this body of work, like Cal said before, is big. A lot larger than people give him credit for. And even through those dark times when people were knocking Batman, he continued doing the right thing. Wow. And we give him mad credit for that.
Some may say Adam West came back. I like to say that Adam West never left. He never left us.
I'm going with that one. And rest in peace, rest in power, rest in paradise.
Hopefully you were in the bat heavens.
Adam West, you're in a better place, and we are much poorer for it. But hey, Godspeed.
Spin rack out.
Same time. Same channel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Come on, man. You know full well the reaction now, the Dark Knight is a reaction.